So now let's start with Unit 9 of our subject Business Intelligence, which is Reporting Authoring. First of all, Business Intelligence Reporting. Business Intelligence Reporting, it is broadly defined as the process of using a business intelligence tool to prepare and analyze the data, to find and share the actionable insights. That means whenever we have data into the organization, which has to be analyzed well. So after the analysis, when we think about delivering it to the customer or to the user, so the form in which it can be delivered to the people, it is the form of report. So the process of using a business intelligence tool to prepare and analyze the data, to find and share the actionable insight. That is what we do in this business intelligence reporting. In this way, the business intelligence reporting, it helps the users to improve the decisions and the business performance. Business intelligence reporting tools, they pull and read the data from the company's data sources, which are on the premises or in the cloud. That means when we think about reading the data, so this particular data we can achieve from various data sources which are there within the premises of that particular organization. That means we are retrieving the data from various data sources located within the organization, within the premises of the organization, or on the cloud. The data that may be on the cloud. That means the data which is stored at the remote servers. So these reporting tools, they have to pull the data from all the various data sources. The reporting tool, it is able to identify the measurements like the sales, the revenue, the inventory counts, etc. and apply different dimensions like the date, the purchase order or the customer information to create the analysis. So this reporting tool that we are talking about in this business intelligence system, it should be able to identify the various measurements. If you have a business, if you're running a business, so you will be interested in knowing the details related to the sales of the business, related to the revenue generated from the organization, or data depending on the inventory counts, at what all inventory are we holding, and you can have number of things. So to identify such measurements, we can use our reporting tools. And these reporting tools, they apply the dimension like the date can be applied. That means you want to check out the sales on a particular date. So date is going to be your dimension. Depending on the purchase order, that for this particular purchase order, what all things will be there. So that can be another dimension. Or customer information. Anything like this can be used as a dimension to create the analysis for the reports. Users, they can choose the dimensions and the measurement using drag and drop functionality to create the reports. In the report that we provide to the users, we provide drag and drop facility, that if they want to add on some dimension, that means if a person has chosen that I want to see the sale of the organization on this particular date. Now suppose the person wants to know the sale of one particular product. So he has been provided with the drag and drop facility where he will be provided with the various features like the different products name. So he can opt for whatever products he wants to see. So using drag and drop functionality, he can analyze that particular sale of the product on that particular date. So we provide this way various drag and drop facilities, various functionalities to create better reports for the organization. Your team, it can create the tables, histograms or pie charts depending on the data chosen and create the forecasting models. That means when you want to show the people with certain output or with certain analysis of the data, it can be shown in the form of various tables, it can be shown in the form of histogram, or it can also be shown in the form of pie charts. So depending on the data, depending on the analysis, any kind of this visualization tool can be used to create the report in a better way. They can also create the dashboard with these charts and have them update on a schedule or in the near real time. Dashboard, like we've earlier also talked about, dashboard is basically a user interface which will be provided to our users, where we can have different views of the various analysis of data being done. So we can create various dashboards with different types of charts, with different types of graphs, tables, which can update on the schedule or which can update in the real time. So there are various capabilities, various responsibilities in the business intelligence reporting. So basically, when we want to analyze our data into a proper format, so the users will have to be provided with certain reporting tools so that they can better analyze this data. Talking about building reports with the relational data model. See, we generally have two types of data model, relational data model and the multidimensional data model. In relational data model, the data will be stored in the form of 2D. That means, like if you see your Excel table, so that data there, it will be in the form of columns here and in the form of rows here. So it is a 2D format. So when we are talking here about the relational data model, that means we are talking about the data which is in the form of 2D. So the relational model, it is an abstract model which is used to organize and manage the data stored in the database. It stores the data in the two-dimensional interrelated table, also known as relations, in which each row it will represent an entity and each column it will represent the property of the entity. That means if we are talking about certain product, if we are storing the information of a product, so that entity, each row will represent our entity and the column will represent various properties of our entity. Suppose generally if we are storing the information about a football, so football is going to be our entity here, and the various properties of the ball, like the color of the ball, the size of the ball, the width of the ball, height of the ball, whatever the properties the ball has, it will be stored into the various columns. So it is a form of 2D view in which row-wise we store all the entities and column-wise we store their properties. So basically, when we are talking about this relational model, it is an abstract model which is used to organize and manage the data stored in our database. How are we storing the data in our databases? So relational model in which we store our data in the form of various tables and we interrelate these tables to achieve the result. We can interrelate these tables. We can take data from different tables and achieve the result. So these tables, they can also be called relation here. When we talk about relational data model, so this table, relational data model, the term relation, which means table. So because table means relation, so that is why the term has come relational data model. Now, talking about the reporting data model, it is a dimensional model that allows a customized reporting. Dimensional modeling, it is a data warehousing technique that exposes a model of information around the business processes while providing the flexibility to generate the reports. So we have a reporting data model which will provide us with the customized reporting, and for providing those reports, it will take the data from our relational data models. That means from various tables that are being stored into the databases, the data will be retrieved. Now the dimensional modeling, it is a data warehousing technique which exposes a model of the information around the business processes while providing flexibility to generate the reports out of them. So when we are talking about building reports with the relational data model, that means we are talking about the data which is stored in the form of various relations into the databases or into various data warehouses. Using various tables, using interrelating these tables, we can retrieve the data. And once the data is being received, once the data is being analyzed, it can be outputted in the form of reports. Now, building reports with multi-dimensional data model. A multi-dimensional data model, like we have talked about relational model, in which we are just having the 2D view. That means one side we have columns, one side we have rows. Only 2D view is there. Now talking about the multi-dimensional model, it views the data in the form of data cube. Like if you have seen the cube, we have different sides to it. So when we want to view the data in the form of cube, that form is known as a multi-dimensional model. A data cube, it enables the data to be modeled and viewed in multiple dimensions. It is defined by the dimension and the facts. The dimensions, they are the perspective or the entities concerning which an organization keeps a record. Our OLAP, which is the online analytical processing, and the data warehousing, they use the multi-dimensional databases. Now, OLAP and data warehousing, they use the multi-dimensional databases, and it is used to show the multiple dimensions of the data to the users. In our OLAP cube, what happens? We have different dimensions on which we store the data. On one side, we can have the dimension like the time. On the other side, we can have the dimension which is a product. On another side, we can have the dimension like the location. So we can have different dimensions. If you want to see the details of the product at a particular location, at a particular point of time, so retrieval of data from this multidimensional view, it becomes too much beneficial for us. And whatever calculations, they are already being stored into the OLAP cube itself once a cube is created. So whenever you try to retrieve the data using this multidimensional view, your time will not get wasted since the calculations are already done once a cube is formed. So whenever you want to know the data like this, that I want to know the detail of this product at this time from this location, so it can be very easily retrieved from your OLAP cube. The multidimensional data model, it allows the customer to interrogate the analytical question associated with the market or the business trends. So whenever we are thinking about some analytical questions related to our market, related to our business trends, like we want to know the details of the product, we want to know the sales done for the product in some particular years. So if you want to do anything analytical, so analytical question, they can be asked from this multidimensional data model. Unlike the relational databases, which allow the customer to access the data in the form of queries. In relational data model, whenever we want to access certain data, we have to provide certain queries for it. We have to use a particular structured query language. Using that language, we need to write down the query. Let's select product, select time from this particular table. So we have a proper format of the query. Using that format, we can receive the queries. We can put in the queries and can receive the answer. They allow the users to rapidly receive the answers to the request which they made by creating and examining the data comparatively faster. So when we talk about the multidimensional data model, they will allow the users to rapidly receive the answers to the request. That means when we need to do analytical questioning, when we need to understand the market trends, when we want to receive the answer quickly, we should prefer storing our data into multidimensional data model so that the retrieval of the data becomes easy and faster. Now, let us discuss the different types of reports. We do have different types of reports which can be accessed from our business intelligence tool. Here we are discussing some common type of reports which are used in the businesses. The very first is the information report. So this information report, it aims to give the factual data about the specific topic. That means if you want to know certain specific information related to the organization from the data that you have stored. So from that, if you want to get some specific information, so the form of report that gets generated, that is a category of report that is known as an information report. So information report, it aims to give the factual data about the specific topic. Second can be the analytical report. This report type, it contains a mix of useful information to facilitate the decision-making process through a mix of qualitative and quantitative data, as well as the real-time and the historical data. That means in analytical reports, what do? We create a mix of qualitative and quantitative data. For the analysis of certain products, suppose we are working on a product and we want to increase the sale of this product by 10% by the next month. So we have to analyze this product in detail. We need to check out the quantitative data related to that product. We need to understand the quality features of that particular product. So when we have a report which contains a mix of useful information to facilitate the decision making process through the mix of qualitative and the quantitative data, as well as the real time and the historical data. So that means we are talking about that particular product. What is the history? Like, what was the sale of this product in the past 2 years? Maybe we want to know. Historical data we want to know. And the real time data. That presently, how much is the sale of this product at different stores of the organization. So this kind of reports where we are mixing the useful information depending on different criteria. That form of report generated, that is known as the analytical report. Then we have the operational report. These reports, they track every pertinent detail of the company's operational task, such as the production process, such as the packaging process. Different processes, they carry on into the organization. If there's an organization, there's a business which is producing different products. So there are a number of processes going on. Production process, marketing process, selling process, packaging process. Number of processes would be going on. Now, to analyze those processes, since all the data related to these processes, they have to be stored into the databases and we want to analyze. So for that, operational reports are created which give details of the company's operational task. So the next type of report that we can have is the product report. This report type, it is used to monitor the several aspects related to the product performance and the development. If we want to analyze a product, we want to monitor the several aspects of the product performance and the development of that particular product. So that kind of report, it is being generated. It is known as a product report. Another category of report we can have, that is the industry report. Industry report, they are basically generated for a particular industry, for a particular market or a particular sector, with certain definition, with certain key parameters, with certain sizes, industry standards, which are created for the particular industry. So such form of reports, they are known as the industry reports. And along with this, we can have multiple types of reports depending on the organization, that what all kind of analysis of data that organization wants to do. If the organization, it works on different web application, so the reports generated from that particular organization, it would be different. If there's an organization who is dealing into the sales of maybe some clothes, some garments, so the reports generated by them would be little different. Similarly, if some company it is dealing with the food items, so the report generated for their requirement, as per their requirement, will be different. So here we have categorized or we have seen the example of few types of reports that can be generated. Information report, analytical report, operation report, product report, and the industry reports. These are some common types of reports which are generated using the business intelligence tool. Now here we are going to discuss some common reporting related terms. Since we are talking about the entire set of reporting in this unit, so now we are going to be discussing some common terms which relate to our reports. The first one is a list. List is a collection data type. Collection data type means a data type in which we can have a collection of data. Like if we want to store some number, so a data type has to be used in sense of the computerized. When you want to store the data into the computer, if you want to store the number, so numeric data type would be used. If you want to store the alphabets, then the text data type would be used. So list here. List is a collection of data type. It allows multiple values to be stored within the same field. In table design, you must configure the list data type with all the values that the field store. Now these values, they will be available for the field in table, data sheet view, or in the data pages. That means it is a data type when we want a collection of data type. We want the text data for this. If we want to analyze a product, we want the text data for it. We want the numeric data for it, we want the alphanumeric data for it, and we want to store different currencies related to the product, different forms of currencies. So when we have a collection of data type, so in that case, we have to use a data type which is known as a list. List allows multiple values to be stored within the same field. So whenever you are configuring this list data type, you have to first of all store what all data types are collected in this field. Second, we have the cross-tab report. Cross-tab report, they are also known as a matrix report. They are used to show the relationship between 3 or more query items. Cross-tab, or we can say matrix. Matrix, what happens? We have different rows and different columns which are analyzed to show the relationship. So when we have to show the relationship between 3 or more query items, at that point of time, the reports which are used, they are known as a cross-tab reports. Cross-tab reports, they show the data in the rows and columns with the information summarized at the intersection point. That means where our intersection is taking place. This is the row, this is the column, where we are having this intersection point. From that point of, we can retrieve the summarized data. So this form of report, it is known as a cross-tab report. Then we have the next form that is known as a statistical report. Statistical report, it provides the detailed performance information about an archive, extract or delete the process. We will use the information in statistical reports to find the best method to improve the performance. For example, you might change the method how to access the data from the database. You might be requiring to increase the number of keys to analyze the data, or you might be requiring to create an index for the key column. So whenever you want to improvise, you want to do some improvisation into your data, into the way in which the reports will be created. So at that point of time, you are going to use a statistical report. They will provide the detailed performance information about the archive, about the extract or about the delete process. Then we have another term which is known as chart. Chart, like all of us know, it is a graphic that displays the numeric data in a compact visual layout that reveals the essential data relationship. You can add a chart to a form or to a report to visualize your data and make informed decisions. So basically chart will provide you the visual data, the visual graphical data with the help of which you can use the chart. We have different types of chart. We have the bar chart, we have the pie chart, we have the scatter chart. We have different types of chart which can be used for the analysis of data. So it is a graphic that displays the numeric data in a compact visual layout, which will show the relationship between the various dimensions of our data. Then we have the next one that is known as a map report. Map report, it displays the records that are driven by the geographical locations. The report, it is based on the location field type, and the recorded location, they are plotted on a typical map. You can create a map report to plot your data on the geographical heat map or with the pin location for the specific data points. When we talk about the map report, so it is the report which is generated for a particular location. Whenever we are talking about the locations, we want to analyze different locations. So at that point of time, the most useful form of report for us will be the map report. It will display the records that are driven by the geographical location. Then we have the another form of report that is known as a financial report. Financial report, it is also referred to as a financial statement. It is a management tool used to efficiently communicate the key financial information by covering every aspect of the financial affair with the help of specific key parameters. With the businesses can ensure constant growth of the revenue. So financial reports, they are used to communicate the key financial information. If we want to analyze the financial information, the money related thing, that how much is the revenue generated, how much is the cost invested, how much cost will be required for maintenance, how much cost will be required for storing the inventories. So all these kind of costing, all these kind of finances, they can be very easily implemented, they can be very easily used with the help of financial report option.